up, everybody? Welcome back to Talking Rad, the podcast, with your hosts, the Rad Katz. And I think we're on episode 11.
Yeah.
We've come a long way, dude. 11 weeks, 11 straight weeks of not missing a podcast.
Come a long way with you, my friend.
And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. Well, cool. This podcast is going to be a little bit shorter due to the fact that I've actually got somewhere to be, so we're just going to jump right into it. But so I recently watched a film on Netflix. It's a documentary, and it's called What the Health. Thane actually has seen it too, but this documentary was like super eye-opening for me. I've been a vegetarian for it's about 5 or 6 months now, and it was just something I kind of wanted to try just to test out, see if I'd feel healthy or anything. So there was not really any reason behind it. But now, after watching this documentary, I want to go vegan now because this was it was shocking. It made me I was so upset. I was so freaking mad at the government and all these humongous organizations that have been feeding the American people.
Yeah, I watched it. He gave me an assignment to watch it, and I don't know. I kind of have a feeling that the government has food organizations always been putting stuff in our foods. I know that there's been bad stuff, but this is.
Hey, can you go flip these big lights off?
And let me go turn off the lights so that we have a better mood lighting.
Not only better mood, it's just these fluorescent lights actually make noise. So. How does it look on your camera?
Now we're in the late night setting.
Even though we filmed this early in the morning.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what the movie's basically about is there's this guy named Kip. He's a filmmaker, and he was super paranoid growing up because his mom, or I think it was his dad and his grandpa, so I think they died from cancer. And so he was really paranoid and didn't want to get this cancer and diabetes and stuff. So he ate super healthy. He didn't drink any soda. I think he took all of these pills to try and make sure that he stays healthy or whatnot. And anyway, he started doing research into health, and he found out. And now that this is information. This isn't new. This information's been around for 50 years. But I just barely found out about it because of this documentary. And this is kind of why I wanted to talk about it, is because I want to share this information with everybody. I think everybody needs to know this. But what he found out is that meat, processed meat, such as hot dogs, sausage, bologna, pepperoni, deli cuts, bacon, all of these processed meats are actually a group 1 carcinogen. Now, what is a carcinogen? A carcinogen is actually what causes cancer. And there's carcinogens in all of those processed meats you are eating. Not to mention that the group they're in, they're also classified. The group 1 carcinogen, also in that group is tobacco, plutonium, and asbestos. These are 3 things that absolutely cause cancer and can kill people, have killed people. And meat is in that group of carcinogen. Not to mention that red meats, so your steaks, your pork, your chicken and poultry, I don't think it's chicken and poultry. Anyway, your red meats is classified as a group 2 carcinogen. But that doesn't mean poultry is good for you at all either. Poultry is actually full of saturated fats and also leads to diabetes and cancer as well. I didn't even know that. Usually growing up, we're told that you need to eat meat. Come to find out, meat is actually cancerous.
Yeah.
It increases your risk to get colorectal cancer. It increases your risk to get colon cancer as well. Also high blood pressure, because what these meats are full of, not only are they full of carcinogens, but they're full of saturated fats along with dairy. Dairy is horrible for you too, but we'll jump into that in a sec. Anyway, what these saturated fats do is they build up inside your bloodstream. Now, this is what causes diabetes. Not eating a buttload of sugar, but actually this is these saturated fats get in your bloodstream and they actually clog your blood cells from getting from getting
Insulin.
into those blood cells. And that's what causes diabetes. Not eating too much sugar, but eating too much of this meat, these saturated fats. It clogs your blood cells from getting insulin. So I was told my whole life that diabetes is from eating too much sugary foods and having a horrible not working out. You know, I think my dad's dad had diabetes, and I think he still has diabetes. And then my mom's mom and dad both had diabetes. And I was told that it's also hereditary, which it may be hereditary, but you can reverse these. You know, even if you have these diseases in your body, you can reverse them and actually get rid of them completely. You can get rid of diabetes completely. Get rid of it. Because my grandpa, who had diabetes, doesn't anymore. He's gotten rid of it.
Yeah. So yeah. I don't know. Wait.
What were you gonna say?
I wasn't gonna say anything. I kind of stopped.
Well, anyway, going on to dairy now. So, like meat's bad because meat is a carcinogen and has tons of saturated fats. Dairy, which is in pretty much everything, this includes eggs, cheese, yogurt, milk, all of these things. Can you think of any other dairy things?
Ice cream.
Anyway, all of this, you know, there's dairy pretty much in everything. There's dairy in chocolate. There's dairy in cake, cookies, donuts, you know, you name it, pancakes. There's dairy in it, and dairy is loaded with saturated fats and cholesterol. So when you're eating dairy, going back to the whole saturated fats thing, this is what causes high blood pressure, especially like eggs. Eggs are really, really bad for you. You can go on, I think it's the World Health Organization. They actually said that they can't even say that eggs are nutritious, good for you, healthy. Like, they can't say any of that because there's nothing good about eating an egg. I was told my whole life, oh, eggs are a great source of protein. You need to eat eggs. Eggs are terrible for you. The yolk is designed to feed a baby chicken for like 29 days being inside that egg because it doesn't get any outside energy or anything. That's what the chicken feeds off of, is this yolk, which is just a bunch of fat. That's all it is like concentrated fat. And so when you take that into your body, that's what's going inside your bloodstream. That's what's clogging these arteries and causing high blood pressure. And it also increases your risk for getting cancer. I learned that dairy products, like yogurt and especially, it increases your chances of getting prostate cancer, ovarian cancer, and breast cancer. You know, and to top it all off, what pisses me off the most about all of this is, number one, all of these health organizations aren't talking about it. You know, the National Cancer Society, the American Heart Association, and the Susan G. Komen, and what's the other one? The
diabetes.
Yeah, the diabetes one. I think it's like the American Diabetes Association. Anyway, these four companies, these humongous groups that are supposed to be in charge of finding cures and preventing these diseases, are not doing that at all. All of the money that has ever been donated, you think that money, I thought that money was going to help find a cure for cancer, find a cure for diabetes, you know. No. What that money goes to is to find ways for people to just live with the disease. They're not trying to heal you. They're not trying to cure you. They're trying to find out ways for you to just live with it. That's why they create all of these freaking drugs. But here's the big circle, the big conspiracy behind all this. It's not even a conspiracy. This is the cold hard truth that I found out by doing research and also watching that documentary. I highly recommend, after you are done watching this podcast, go watch that documentary. It's going to be completely eye-opening for you. But this is what pisses me off the most, is number one, these organizations and the government are not telling you, they're not talking about how unhealthy these foods are, for one. You know, I didn't know that there's carcinogens in meat. They don't say that on the labels. Not at all. They don't talk about that. And they've told me through the pyramids of food and in my health classes that I'm supposed to be eating this stuff. You're supposed to be getting your daily intake of meat. You're supposed to be getting your daily intake of dairy. All of these things. They talk about drinking a cup of milk a day, eating your eggs. Eat. Make sure you're eating red meat. They tell you to do this in schools growing up, and even now on the health pyramid, that this huge group that's supposed to be like behind making sure that the world's healthy, put this in your food pyramid that you need to be eating meat, that you need to be eating dairy. They put that in there, and they're lying. They've been lying, and why do they lie? Well, here it is. You can go on all of these websites, the National Cancer Society, the American Heart Association, the Susan G. Komen, and the diabetes one, and you can look it up. They don't talk about this information jack squat. They don't tell you that meat causes cancer. They don't tell you that dairy causes cancer. They don't tell you that eating meat causes diabetes and not eating sugar. They don't tell you this. And actually, they recommend you to eat meat. They recommend you to eat dairy. The things that are causing your diseases are what they're recommending you to eat. Now, why in the hell would they be recommending foods that are killing people? Killing people. Like, get this. 1 in every 4 people, this is the whole worldwide, 1 in every 4 people die from heart disease every single day. Or not every, I think it's every single year. That's 17 million people a year are dying. So yeah, 1 in 4 people will die from heart disease. And that's 17 million people a year. This is a humongous epidemic. If 17 million people a year were dying from like a terrorist attack or hell, some flu-borne illness or air disease or whatever, we would be all over that, dude. We would be all over that. There's 17 million people dying a year because of their diet. And you know what? Everybody just says, oh, it's because you're fat and you don't exercise and you eat too much sugar. That is a lie. It isn't that. It is your diet that you're eating. It's your meats and your dairies. But going back, this is the huge full circle thing. This is what absolutely pisses me off. Is number 1, they're not telling you it's bad for you. Number 2, they're actually telling you to eat it. And then, number 3, I ask myself, why are these organizations not talking about it? Well, who are their sponsors? All 4 of these, they're sponsored by the huge beef industries and the huge dairy industries. You can go look who sponsors the American Heart Association. Theirs is the absolute worst. It is every single beef organization out there, not to mention Domino's was on there. I think Pizza Hut was on there. KFC was on there. I think Subway was on there, which Subway's not as bad, whatever people want to say. Still, that is awful. This is why they're pushing us to eat this garbage, is because they're getting hundreds of thousands of dollars from these huge companies that are producing this stuff. So the full circle is these, the dairymen and the beef organizations, they are creating these toxic products. They are toxic. You could go on the internet, do your own research. These are actual doctors talking about this. But do your own research. Anyway, it goes full circle. These guys produce these harmful products. The consumers buy and intake these harmful products. What happens when they get sick? I'm not saying if you go eat meat, you're going to die today or you're going to get cancer or diabetes today. It is the years of eating this. I think they said that eating, I think it's eating a serving of meat a day increases your risk of getting cancer by 18%. That is crazy, and that is terrible. Not to mention, they were talking about how much cholesterol is in milk and in fish. Fish isn't good either. I know people say that, oh, fish is great for you. No. Fish has tons of cholesterol. They have a lot of cholesterol. Not to mention the mercury. They're mercury sponges. Do you know what mercury is?
Yeah.
Mercury kills.
Yeah.
You eat too much mercury, you'll die. And essentially what a fish does is you have a small fish with a little bit of mercury, gets eaten by a bigger fish, which gets eaten by a bigger fish, which gets eaten by a bigger fish, and we eat the big fish, the big huge salmons and tunas and tilapia. They are mercury sponges, dude. They have so much mercury inside them that it's not healthy at all. Not to mention they have tons of cholesterol. But anyway, going back, the big companies produce these horrible toxic foods. The consumers eat them. When the consumers get sick, they go to the health professionals, the medical guys. And then what do? They recommend prescriptions. They recommend drugs, which come from pharmaceutical companies. And so everybody's getting paid because the pharmaceutical companies are also sponsoring these huge organizations like the American Heart Association, Susan G. Komen, the Diabetes Association. They're sponsoring these things. And people that are sick or have family members that die, they want them to find a cure. So what do? They donate all of this money to the American Heart Association and the American Cancer Society and the American Diabetes Association and the Susan G. Komen. Susan G. Komen is being sponsored by Yoplait every single year. You see the pink ribbon lids on Yoplait. Yogurt is directly linked with breast cancer. Not just yogurt, but dairy in general is directly linked with breast cancer. This is why I'm upset. This is what makes me mad. I don't care that the government is feeding people garbage, but you need to tell them that you're feeding them garbage. If you're going to feed somebody a carcinogen, tell them that there's carcinogens in it. They said that eating one egg is equivalent to smoking 5 cigarettes as far as life expectancy is concerned. Are you kidding me? If I showed up at my house and started smoking a cigarette, my mom would beat me silly. But I've eaten eggs my whole life. I've eaten meat my whole life, I've eaten dairy my whole life. Cheese was my favorite. Yogurt was my favorite. I loved lasagna. Lasagna was my favorite food out there. I loved milk. And now I'm coming to find out, at 20 years old, that this stuff is absolutely atrocious for you. This is why people are dying from high blood pressure. This is why it's over half. I think, I can't even remember the percentage, but it's 350 million people worldwide have diabetes. There's an epidemic, I think, and it's two out of every 3 people in America are overweight. They're obese. And I'm not fat shaming anybody, everybody needs to be comfortable, but everybody's so comfortable with it that they're turning their heads now against the overlaying problem. It's horrible, dude. It is absolutely horrible. And people have brought up all these arguments. Well, what about protein? I need my meat for my protein. Protein is there's protein in meat, but all protein is made by plants. What are these animals eating to get their protein? They are eating plants. Where does plants get their energy from the sun? A plant is the purest form of energy, the purest form of protein. So when you're eating a cow or you're eating a chicken or a pig, you're eating recycled energy. You're eating recycled protein. It's not pure protein. And so, if you don't believe me, you need to go watch this documentary, do your research, look on the list of carcinogens, look up group 1, processed meats right there, and then look up group 2, it's red meats, And people say, well, I guess red meats are less toxic for you. Just because something's less toxic for you doesn't mean it's good, excuse me. Anyway, oh my goodness, I don't care. I don't care what people eat. If you want to continue to eat meat your whole life, great. I don't care. It's not going to bother me. I just want people to know what they're eating. If an egg is equivalent to smoking 5 cigarettes, that's not good. That's not good at all. And if eating meat increases your risk of getting cancer 18%, that's not good. If you have diabetes that's running in your family, it's not because of the sugar you're eating. It's because of the meats. It's because of the saturated fats. It's clogging your blood cells. It's clogging your arteries. This is what causes high blood pressure. People are dying every single day from diseases like this. And I can't remember which one it was. I think it was heart disease. I think they were saying that 4,000 people every single hour, every single day, every single month, every single year are dying from heart disease. And they were saying that's 4 of those big, huge airplanes, passenger airplanes. That's 4 of them crashing every single hour, every single day, every single year. There's a huge epidemic. People are dying because of their diet. It's not because of your hereditariness. I've had several people that I know die from cancer. And they're like, well, where does cancer come from? People think cancer just magically manifests itself inside your body. Cancer comes from your diet. Diabetes comes from your diet. And it's not because you're eating too much sugar. It's because of the fats you're eating. It's because of the meat and because of the dairy. Do your research. Go look it up. I mean, the statistics are there. All of the research is done. And this isn't just me spitting out BS. This is like Harvard's been doing research. There are medical professionals and experts within diabetes, within cancer, that have done research, and they are telling you this stuff. Like, this is what causes it. You should not be eating this. And yet, the American Cancer Society doesn't talk about jack squat about this. They don't tell you to stop eating meat. They tell you to eat meat. They have recipe lists with suggested foods to eat, and it's all meat. They recommended bacon-wrapped shrimp. Are you kidding me? This is what makes me mad, is they're not telling people this. You need to tell people what's inside your food. If an egg is absolutely not healthy whatsoever, there's no nutritious value in it at all, tell people. Tell people you're feeding them an atomic bomb. Tell people you're giving them drugs. Tell people you're feeding them a carcinogen. Tell people that if they eat this, they increase their risk of getting breast cancer. On cigarette packs, it says may cause cancer. You need to say that on your meats and on your dairies. And the sad truth of it is these huge corporations have tried to get their hands in everything. That there's pretty much dairy in everything out there. Like we mentioned, you got milk, you got cheese, you got yogurt, you got eggs, and all of those products are in pretty much everything. We went to the store last night, and I was looking, and there's pretty much milk in every single piece of chocolate that I could find. There's milk in donuts. There's milk in cake. I mean, hell, there might even be milk in bread. But it's just, I don't know. I was baffled, but I was really upset, and I'm gonna raise awareness. I'm gonna start talking about this. I'm gonna start telling people when they ask me why I've chose to be a vegan. I'm gonna tell them because there's carcinogens in meat and dairy. You increase your risk of getting cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, even heart attacks. Heart attack kill like we mentioned. Heart attacks kill people every single day. This isn't good. But if somebody comes up to me and says, "Well, Sky, you know what?" and they chomp on a cheeseburger, great. Like, I don't care. I don't care what you eat. Just like I don't care if you're gay, straight, lesbian, white, black, male, female. I don't care. Like, I don't care. But I just want people to know what they're intaking. And I'm not going to say it in a douchebag way where I'm going to say, wow, you're putting cancer in your body. I'll just be like, hey, did you know that there's carcinogens in meat? Did you know that eating an egg is equivalent to smoking 5 cigarettes? Did you know that dairy causes breast cancer? Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It increases your risk. I'm not saying that meat causes cancer. I'm saying that eating meat increases your risk of getting cancer. Some people eat meat their whole lives and they're fine. They don't get cancer. Great. Some people smoke cigarettes their whole life and don't get lung cancer. Great. Everybody's different. But when 2/3 of Americans are overweight and obese and have high blood pressure and are at risk for heart attacks and have diabetes, there's a problem. Who's going to step up and say something? This Kip guy that made this documentary, he's already taken the first step. But I think we as individuals need to spread the word, man. And even if nobody listens, they need to know. They just need to know what they're eating. That's all I care about. People just need to know what they're intaking. They need to know if it's good or bad for them. It needs to be written on the labels. And so this is kind of why I wanted to have this discussion today on the podcast. But, it's not good. Not to mention, did you know this thing, that over half of the world is actually lactose intolerant? I think it's more than half. I can't even remember the percent, but I think it's like 60 or 70% of the world is lactose intolerant, and they were born this way. How is that many people born lactose intolerant? Their body literally rejects dairy, And I had several friends when I was living in the Caribbean that they actually developed lactose intolerant there. They became lactose intolerant. They could not drink milk. It literally made them barf. They couldn't eat cheese or anything. It hurt them. It was killing them. And another thing in the Caribbean, too, which now this makes sense, is there was a lot of people with diabetes there. And when they get diabetes, like they they would get their limbs chopped off. Like they would lose their legs and their arms because the diabetes was so bad. And I thought it was due to all the fruit they were eating because they eat a lot of mangoes and bananas and apples and stuff. But it's not because of the sugar in the fruit. It's they eat so much fried chicken. The fried chicken is what's causing the diabetes.
According to Pat, we have one video that's private on our challenge playlist.
Okay.
We'll look into that.
Yeah, I'll look into that. But anyway, it's there's a huge epidemic. You know, we need to take a stand. But I've been talking for a long time. Thane, what are your thoughts on all this?
I don't know. If I die, I die. That's just kind of my mentality. Yeah, I do believe the government's trying to kill us every day. But and it makes sense that they put stuff in our food just to try to kill us. But you gotta think, this is only America. Like, what is it like in in any other country?
Same thing.
Same thing.
Feed you garbage.
Well, maybe not third world countries, but
No, even I lived in a third world country. They still feed you garbage. They eat, like I said, the Caribbean on those islands. They eat so much chicken, fried chicken. Chicken. They were saying that chicken's absolutely the worst for you because you eat more quantities of chicken, and everyone says, "Oh, white meat, chicken's better." Chicken has the same amount of cholesterol as beef. It's like beef is like 89 milligrams and chicken's like 84 or 85 milligrams. There's not even a difference. It's a very minimal difference.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I guess I'm not really all that interested in this subject. I don't have much interest.
You don't care that the government is literally telling you to eat food that is killing you?
It's not that I don't care. It's just that I already know. So maybe vegan diets. People have had it do work, but like how many people are actually gonna go on vegan diets after they watch this?
Yeah, and see, that's the thing is, like, I don't care if anyone does. Like, it doesn't bother me, but I think people just need to know that if they get sick, this is why. It's not because of hereditary. It's not because of all of these other reasons. It's because of your diet. Like, diet and disease are completely 100% linked. And, yeah, I don't care. Like, if nobody changes their diet, that's fine. That doesn't bother me. That was weird.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to push. I'm not saying you have to do this. I just want people to be aware. I want them to know what they're eating. That's all.
And also, I think there's like a million documentaries on the subject. Like, and if you watch this one, and thought, no, it's not true. This one will, like, actually give some more insight. Like, there's, I guess, a bunch of angles. Like, both there's so many documentaries on how food is killing you. Like, Netflix put out one. It's like a 6-part one that was recommended after I watched this one called Rotten. It's like, okay, so, like, if you don't believe this one, there's clearly something going up. If there's so many videos about food in America and the world, killing people or making people more unhealthy, and like where does it all end? I mean, like, maybe I want to eat meat, but maybe I want to find a way to make it, healthier. And I know that people have been growing meat in labs, maybe and they can cut out all the
carcinogens.
Yeah, carcinogens and stuff, but I don't know. I guess since at the beginning humans have been eating meat, but today I guess we don't really need to eat meat. We got every we got plant-based. We can have a plant-based diet and completely survive off of it.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that is good that comes from meat is called B12. But you can actually buy those supplements and take them. So.
Yeah, that's what people do. They buy supplements that animal products don't provide, and they if they have like meat substitutes for vegan diets, and yeah, I'll go vegan. I mean, they're already doing dairy substitutes, so
Yeah, well, like almond milk.
yeah.
Dude, I devour that stuff.
If they can make a baconator, like have it just like synthetic meat, then yeah, I totally eat that if it tastes the same. Although the worry is the taste. Like, what if it tastes like bland? Then like they have to like have the right flavor.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing is they were saying at the end of the documentary, these doctors were saying, we don't care. They're saying the same thing I am. We don't care if people change their diets. We just want to make them aware of why they're getting sick and how to prevent it and reverse the sickness. And like you're saying, it's the plant-based diets. And there was, on the documentary, they have 3 different cases of people that they were on drugs, all of these types of drugs. This guy was suffering from horrible diabetes. This lady had asthma, had so much pain and inflammation in her body. And in 2 weeks...
It's probably, I don't know what that is. Just keep going.
I don't know what that is either. Sorry for the horrible noise.
Yeah.
Anyway, in 2 weeks, they were able to reverse their sicknesses. They got off. One lady got off every single drug she was taking. I think she was taking like over 16 types of drugs every single day. She got off every single one of those drugs. She got rid of her asthma, didn't have to take asthma medicine anymore, and could walk again. She was healthy. She had more energy. And this was in 2 weeks of eating a plant-based diet, so it doesn't take forever. And all you have to do, honestly, is just buckle down and do it if you want to. Just to be healthier or to change, I'm not saying you have to. Nobody does. But it's just so people know and they're aware of why they're getting sick. And I think it was the World Health Organization finally come out and said that, and this was 3 years ago. This was in 2015. I read on the website. They said that meat is now a carcinogen. And it was actually on the news. Problem is, I don't watch the news, so I probably would have never seen it, obviously. Yeah. But anyway, that's just what I don't agree with. Is I don't care if you feed them to them. Just tell them what they're eating. That's all I care about, And if people want to continue to eat it, great. I mean, it's not going to change me. I don't care.
I mean, people still smoke.
Yeah, people still smoke. I don't care.
People still gludge down alcohol. Like, there are some studies that say alcohol, like, a little bit of it's good for you, but, like...
Well, they say a little bit because it can actually clean out your liver, but too much will destroy your liver,
So, like, you can just drink a lot of water as a substitute, But, like, yeah, people still do clearly unhealthy stuff, and, like, stuff you don't know is unhealthy, and, like, yeah, that's you, do it.
That's what I say. If you still want to do whatever, do it. I don't care, but... Just like smoking's bad for you, I want to make aware to people that eating meat and dairy is bad for you. Like I said, I'm not saying you're going to get sick. I'm not saying you will get cancer or you will get diabetes or you will die from a heart attack or have high blood pressure. I'm just saying how it is. It increases your risk for getting it, just like smoking increases your risk for lung cancer.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's our discussion. We could... I guess, Sky could go on with it. I don't really have too much to say.
I could go on forever, but that's basically the gist of it. And the documentary goes into way deeper detail, so I highly recommend it. It's on Netflix right now. It's called What the Health. Check it out. And I actually want to know your guys' thoughts. Leave them in the comment section down below.
Yeah, if you want to suggest us a better documentary on critically judging this documentary as a film, there were some cheesy moments that I thought you could have left that out. You could take this more serious, like that guy smoking a cigarette just like a cheeseburger. It's like, why is this in here? You could have taken this out. I don't think it added anything. He just stated a fact, and he's wearing clown makeup. Why is this in here? There's also this race thing, like, oh yeah, they're feeding all the bad stuff to like us minorities. It's like
no, that's not what they were. It's not that they're feeding them. What it is they have the huge pig places where they were raising all these hogs, and It's a town in North Carolina. I can't remember what it's called, but they would put these humongous hog places that actually, and the documentary goes into super detail, but the essentially what it is these huge farms for pigs where they slaughter pigs and raise pigs. And anyway, the problem is these pigs, they poop a lot, and so the poop drains down into the bottoms of their cages or wherever they're at,
Yeah.
and it gets sucked out and pumped out of the sprinkler system, which fertilizes the ground outside, and it smells really bad, I guess. And the smell is actually causing people to get asthma. It's causing people to get cancer. It's making them sick. And they're saying that these huge factories of pigs are located in low-income housing places, so like towns of color, like where the black people live, and also in the Hispanic neighborhoods. And so that's what they're saying is erasing, because they're only located in those locations.
Well, this is probably not true. I mean, there's probably like low-income houses full of white people, but you know, they're just trying to skew it at a race angle. That's like, it's like don't try to do that. Just like involve everyone.
Yeah.
Black, white, Latino.
It doesn't even matter. I don't care who lives there. It's not good. You know,
Yeah,
it's not healthy.
good for anybody. So yeah. Again,
But-
like
Yeah.
if you wanna say like, no, this like there's things wrong. Watch this one instead, or like, oh, here's some like facts that, like, if you have any facts that prove any of this wrong, you can post that, because you know, not everything's correct. Like,
It's true.
yeah, like, and just because this documentary is not correct, there's still a lot of more documentaries. There's this guy who made this one, Kip, whatever his name is. He also made another one called Cowspiracy, but this one's about but I think that one's like about the treatment of like animals in slaughterhouses, which is a totally different subject. But
Well, it's still directly linked, but
yeah.
yeah, it is. It's in a little bit different
yeah,
highlight of it, but
but yeah, it's like I think both those documentaries also covered in the one Netflix put out. Even Netflix like supports this stuff.
yeah. Well,
It's
dude,
called Rotten.
it's because it's true.
Yeah.
It's the world just needs to know. That's my biggest thing. The government needs to stop
Also, according
lying.
to the trailer of Rotten, like there's also like it talks about the income, like what people work in like animal houses, and like also the disease linked and everything. I guess you watched this and didn't like it. You can probably go watch that one, or watch. There's several others I think I've seen like on Netflix that say that like have it, but whatever. You can like don't take like our word for it. Just you can go like if you don't believe us or if you don't believe the movie, you can just do your own research.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't just believe what we say. Go out
Yeah.
and do your research for yourself. Because, you know, maybe we're full of it. Maybe Thane and I are actually drunk right now, and
Yeah.
we've been smoking too much dope.
Yeah. So yeah.
But I guess we'll just transition. We'll wrap it up here soon.
Yeah,
I want to talk
so-
about our little segments.
Yeah.
But the music that I recommend for this week is... Oh, excuse me. It is a band, which I'm sure you've heard of, called Walk the Moon. They've recently released a new album. I think it came out a few months ago. And they have a song on this album called Kamikaze. And you should go check it out. It is a killer song. Great band.
Yeah.
Check them out.
So the movie I watched this week was Goodfellas. It's directed by Martin Scorsese. It's considered a classic by many people, including the American Film Institute, which American Film, the AFI, and also the National Film Registry, which preserves films, and they decided to preserve this one. They also decided to preserve Godfathers Part 1 and 2, and this film is pretty good, just like all other mob films. I don't know, well, like it's like crime doesn't pay. This one, unlike Godfather though, this one's based off it's based off an autobiography. Or I mean, a biography is not one where it's written by someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's based off a biography of like a guy named Henry Hill who was actually in the mob. But like, he was in the mob, and several things happened, and he went like near the end. He went to witness protection, and like, but his time in the mob covers what's covered in this movie. He like he's doing like good so far. He like has a nice life, and then like towards the middle of the film, he starts to him and his wife start doing cocaine, and that's where it all goes downhill.
Ruins it.
Yeah. Now you wouldn't expect it to be like yeah. See the film like it starts like, oh, the mob is such like has a glamorous life, and then like but it shows like how it's not glamorous, and then like he decides to do cocaine, and like I guess like when you're in the life of crime, it's like, oh, I can get away with doing this, but you can't.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much almost all like mob movies. Like it looks all glamorous, and
it's not.
yeah, but it's not. It usually has a message, not. And there might be some that are like, oh yeah, we're gangsters, and that's how it ends. But usually they always say, no, that's not how it is.
It's because it's not.
Like, but then the ironic thing, even though it says it's not like actual gangsters, like they say, yeah, this film inspired me to be a gangster. It's like, oh, I could taste the irony. Yeah.
Well,
Like Godfather's an important film to them. It's like you realize that like you remember that scene where Al Pacino was like, he was like swearing to God like during this like his nephew's baptism, and while he's doing that, he sent a bunch of people to kill all his enemies. So it's like you clearly don't see that that's a bad thing. Like he's swearing to God that he's a man of God. He's swearing that he's a man of God, and then
go kill a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, and he does do it directly, but he like sends people to kill other people. Like,
not good.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my movie, and next week is a movie I can't believe I haven't seen yet because they're taking it off Netflix. So I might as well watch it soon, and it's Jaws.
Jaws.
Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na-da-da-da.
Batman.
No. And there's also 2 other movies taken off Netflix, so I'll hit those the other weeks. And I think it's Roger Rabbit, which I haven't seen all the way through, and I really should, because it's considered a classic too. And Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, which is a weird film, a Wes Anderson one, but
Nice.
It's considered an interesting one. Okay, and that's
Great choices.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, thanks
for this week.
Thanks for tuning
Maybe
in.
we'll do a pod next week if you didn't like it, because we're spouting out
Facts.
facts and conspiracies. There's a difference.
Yes, there's a difference.
This is a conspiracy because like it's again like.
But now that it's come to light and is found true, then what does it make it? Just fact.
Yeah, I guess.
Deal.
But we'll have one that's less.
Yeah, let's go back to our lighthearted comedic podcast. I feel like we needed to talk about this.
We're trying to line up a guest, see if we can. Next week, we're trying to get. If you haven't heard of him, his name's Crimson Studios. We're trying to get him on the show. Maybe we'll get him next week.
We'll work with it.
Yeah.
We'll see what we can do. Well,
but
actually, next week, if we do it, it'll have to be like Thursday.
Oh yeah. Well, we might not have him, but you know what?
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we might just improv it next week. Who knows?
Yep. But anyway, I know the last 2 podcasts have been kind of serious, talking about issues, but we'll go back to our lighthearted comedy stuff. So, but anyway, if you guys enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a like. If you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. Join the conversation. Let us know what you're thinking. Subscribe if you haven't already. And
keep it rad.
See you in the next one.
You've got mail. You got. Goodbye.